Tom Fraine. I'm COO at Zoa. We are a consumer energy management platform, and we were the technology behind Bulb, which was the UK renewable energy supplier that was also the fastest growing company in Europe before the energy crisis. I am on the front of cigarette packets across Europe as one of the warning images, actually two of the warning images. I've been a people person by trade, I suppose, grew up in the people world, but was always interested in how companies ran and operational stuff, I suppose. I ended up doing some of the more commercial side of people stuff, as well as all the great people side of people stuff, like looking after share schemes and thinking about reward and some of the stuff that had a bit more of a financial element. I then spent a bit of time as part of the founding team at a people tech startup doing a more operational role where my customers were chief people officers. And so I was able to do kind of customer success stuff because I sort of understood their worlds. And those things all added up to me kind of slowly, bit by bit, becoming more operational. And then was chief people officer at Bulb. And as part of the senior leadership team, just ended up kind of being involved in more company level stuff. And so when we separated out the technology and became a new company, Zoa, the role I moved to there was chief operating officer. I'm not a real creature of habit, but I have two structures for my day depending on whether I'm working from home or working in the office. If I'm working from home, I go for a walk at the start of my day because I just have to like get some movement, get out a little bit in nature. I personally find sitting in front of a screen all day quite draining, and a lot of my time is either obviously at meetings or doing kind of email or Slacks if I'm working remotely. So that's the thing that keeps me sane. If I'm in the office, I'll grab a cup of coffee on my way into work, but I don't mind sort of being in a bit early to have a moment of peace at my desk. Usually my day though is lots and lots of meetings, and I'm having to challenge myself a bit to get outside of the organization and spend more time externally, going and meeting other leaders and finding out a bit more about what's going on in the world. But it's a mix usually of time spent with the leadership team as a group, because we're still finding our way at Zoa. We're a relatively early stage startup, and so we're doing a lot of design work together. Chunk of time individually with people I manage, making sure they're on track, helping them unblock stuff, keeping things moving. I suppose I spend a bit of time as well working with the teams I manage, helping them manage and move the metrics that they're responsible for. I think the biggest challenge is getting comfortable with the breadth of being a COO. So loads of other roles have a really defined field, and then COO is sort of everything else. And so I remember at first feeling a little bit uncertain about what I was meant to be doing, and noticing that when we went through stuff as a leadership team and divided up the work, it would be like, oh, okay, commercial stuff that goes to Sarah. We're going to take the engineering stuff. John will look after that. We've got all of this stuff that's left. Okay, I'll just like grab all the bits that are left that doesn't belong with anybody else. But I think once you get a sense of, once you've done that for a little while, you find it belongs into some relatively distinct categories. And then that helps you sort of bucket and manage your work in a bit more of a structured way. One of my other anxieties about becoming a COO was I thought I might be doing it wrong because of my background as a people person. And in a people leadership role, you end up being the diplomat quite a lot. You are like, as part of the leadership team, trying to make that team work really well. You're hypersensitive to how the team itself is working and how each individual in it is doing. And I kind of carried a bit of that into being a COO. And I felt like that was due to my heritage as a people person. When I started hanging out with other COOs and understanding what they were looking at, I realized that role as being the diplomat and the honest broker and the sort of voice of reason within an organization, within a leadership team that's made up of people with different specialisms who are all trying to charge in slightly different directions towards the same goal, is actually what the job is all about. And so I would say those skills of like diplomacy, good judgment, and like trying to be relatively level-headed are really important skills. So I guess my advice would be take some time in a people team on your way up to becoming COO, which I don't imagine many COOs would say. I hadn't worked with too many other COOs in my career. I always sort of felt like it was a pseudo CEO, like a CEO who just does slightly more operational stuff. And I don't really think that's what the job is. I think it has some similar breadth to CEO, some similar like needing to make judgment calls. But I think maybe I had a bit of a misconception around what it was about. I do think this bit about being responsible, like when I think about what I'm at Zoa to do, it's to make us a really brilliant, high performing organization. And weirdly, that has like quite a lot of crossover with what I thought my mission was when I was a chief people officer. It's just it's about a brilliant organization in every respect rather than a high performing organization from a people perspective. But I do think the COO role, sorry, is going to become more about the culture, the performance of the organization, and not just about the sort of like what the data and the metrics of the organization tell you. My favorite thing about ops people is all the weird and wonderful different things they've done on their way into ops, and the variety of different responsibilities that get called operations, because operations is a word that means everything and nothing at the same time. So I am really excited about meeting a load of people doing completely different things in completely different ways who are all brought together because we believe we're part of this thing called operations.